Sorry, Fatima, you are in silence.
Apologies. Okay, we can start now. I think we have already enough people joining. While we are doing the introduction, please use the chat box and share with us where are you joining and your affiliation. Thank you so much. So before we begin, on behalf of our co-organizers, the CBD Women's Caucus, the IUCN Human Rights and Conservation Team, and the IUCN CEESP, I warmly welcome you all in today's webinar. Before we begin, let me briefly share today's objectives. So today, we are going to introduce the gender-related priorities of the upcoming IUCN Work Programme. Then we are going to hear diverse perspectives on advancing gender equality in conservation from across the Union. And of course, we are going to highlight opportunities for all of us to champion gender transformative action at the World Conservation Congress in 2025. That will be held in the upcoming month in Abu Dhabi. The next slide, please. Before we begin, a few housekeeping I would like to share it with you. This session is being interpreted into English, Spanish, and French. You can select your preferred language at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Please keep your microphones muted during this event. And of course, we are going to open the floor to the QR questions. We are going to use the box and the chat box for your questions. Please put your questions in the chat box. With that, it's my pleasure to introduce our first speaker. Please, the next, thank you. Our first speaker for this webinar, Ms. Anna Di Pangracio. It's my great pleasure to welcome you, Anna, member of the IUCN Council and represented to South America, and the former member of the CBD Women's Caucus Board of Directors, who will open today's session with reflections on why gender justice is vital to the conservation efforts. Ms. Anna, the floor is yours. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fatima. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure for me to welcome you to this important conversation, and I am grateful to the CBD Women's Caucus, the IUCN Human Rights and Conservation Team, and CEESP for bringing us together at such a key moment on the road to the IUCN World Conservation Congress this 2025. I am, as Fatima said, an IUCN counselor, but I'm also a member of the CBD Women's Caucus, and I'm also a member of the Commission on Environmental, Economic and Social Policy. This year, with over 500 sessions, more than 70 exhibitions and representation from over 140 countries, the scale of this IUCN Congress is quite immense. One of the Congress's most powerful features is its tripartite structure. We will have a forum where knowledge, science and practice meet, an exhibition which highlights innovations in indigenous knowledge and community-led solutions. And then there is the members' assembly, the decision-making core, where motions are debated and voted on by IUCN members, becoming new resolutions from the IUCN Congress. More than 1,300 resolutions have been adopted in past congresses, shaping from global treaties to bringing new approaches to conservation, advancing indigenous rights, connecting the climate and biodiversity agendas, and gender as well. The IUCN Congress is not only the largest gathering of nature conservation experts, leaders, and decision makers from around the world, but it is also a space where the voices of government, civil society, communities, youth, and women converge to set the course of conservation for years to come. Globally, the IUCN Congress has been known as a sort of a bellwether. It signals where the conservation movement is heading, and this is why today's discussions are relevant. We know that conservation cannot be just or sustainable if it does not fully integrate gender justice. Women, indigenous peoples, and marginalized groups are not only affected by biodiversity loss, but they're also leaders in protecting it and restoring nature. They are knowledge holders and defenders of the territories, but yet too often systemic barriers restrict their full participation and recognition. In my work, I can see how embedding gender and human rights strengthens conservation outcomes. When women are at the decision-making table, when indigenous women's rights are respected, when young leaders are heard and involved, conservation becomes more effective, inclusive, and durable. But we still have a long road ahead in a very challenging juncture as well of multilateralism in crisis, as well as funding, and particularly for gender issues. So the WCC is an opportunity to have these discussions and push for stronger commitments and visibility. And today's webinars give us an opportunity to reflect, to exchange perspectives and build momentum. Let's carry these insights into the Congress and ensure that gender justice is not only spoken about, but advanced through action as well. I invite you to engage fully today and bring your energy into the conversation, and I hope to see many of you in Abu Dhabi. Remember, it is also a hybrid Congress, so you are also in a position to register for a small fee to join several sessions online as well, if you cannot make it to Abu Dhabi. Thank you, and I now hand it over to our next speaker, Fatima. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. It's a really great pleasure to have you always and for joining us and for sharing those powerful reflections. Without further ado, I will move now to our next keynotes or opening speaker, Miss Jackie Siles. I'm very pleased to introduce you, the gender lead of the IUCN Human Rights and Conservation team. Jackie will highlight the gender equality and justice commitments embedded in the IUCN new work program. Ms. Jackie, over to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fatima, and hello to everyone. I would like to begin by thanking the opportunity to participate in this webinar today. The International Union for Conservation of Nature is the world's largest and more diverse network. It brings together states, not state members. It's powered by science and implements environmental initiatives in more than 160 countries. And for over 77 years, IUCN has combined knowledge, generation, policy influence, and action into the ground. However, despite decades of conservation effort, we are witnessing how climate change, biodiversity loss, ecosystem collapse, pollution, overexploitation of natural resources, and the growing global inequalities are devastating the systems on which both nature and humanity depend for survival. IUCN, we believe that the global community must take immediate action across every sector of society to reverse this planetary crisis. And we have seen that when the conservation community acts collectively and multilaterally, it can deliver positive outcomes for nature. So together, we can do more. IUCN unique structure, bringing together, states, government agencies, NGOs, indigenous peoples organizations, experts from commissions, and the Global Secretariat allow us to leverage the power of the Union to deliver our vision, which is a just work, the value, and conserve nature. IUCN program has been developed for the next 4 years, which will deliver transformative change to secure sustainable future with better outcomes for both for people and for nature. One of the 3 in 10 impacts of this program is to ensure that the equitable, legitimate, legal and sustainable use of nature and natural resources contribute both to build a just world, equitable and sustainable society. At IUCN, we have seen how promoting gender equality and women's empowerment leads to better economic outcomes, greater sustainability, and more peaceful natural resource governance, and a stronger environmental policy that benefit all of us in nature. IUCN will draw from the expertise of its members, commissions, secretaries to transform the environmental system and structures so that they actually promote gender equality and women empowerment in conservation. It is vital that our effort in the environment address women's rights, the drivers of gender inequality. We must also strengthen women's economic security and autonomy. We need to transform the distribution of the care work into a recognized care economy. We need to improve women's safety and dignity, advance roles in environmental decision-making, and engage men as a champions for gender equality. Finally, the IUCN program will deliver 5 key products to advance gender equality and conservation. The first one is to generate knowledge and disseminate it, because we need to produce the evidence, the links between gender and environment, and demonstrate how gender equality advances conservation, but also how we promote safety, because we know now women's safety, because we know now the link between gender-based violence and the environment, and sustainable use, and ensure policymakers and practitioners have the knowledge to act and the capacity to act. We need to develop policies that promote and integrate gender mandates at all levels, here at the level of the institution, the national, regional, and international level. We also need to advance the rights and empowerment, promoting gender equality, equal rights, women and girls empowerment through the environmental justice. We need to mainstream gender-responsive action. This will ensure that gender consideration will be embedded in all the programmatic spheres and influence of the union. And we need to build the capacity and the technical support, really strategic support at the institutional, but also programmatic levels, by developing standards, systems, safeguards, and protocols that close gender gaps and advance gender equality and empowerment. So through these 5 outputs, IUCN aims to demonstrate how gender equality is not only being promoted, but actively advanced across the work of the union. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Madam Jackie Siles, for sharing this recommendation and for these powerful words. And I would like to seize this opportunity to thank you and to thank Anna for laying the foundation for today's discussion. I will also share a kind reminder regarding the interpretations. Please activate the channel. We have the interpretation in French and Spanish as well. And now let's move to our next segment in this webinar. Our panel discussion, Gender Justice in Action, Perspectives from across the Union. Through this conversation, we hope to gain a deeper understanding of how justice or gender justice is being advanced across different parts of the Union, the challenges that remain, and the opportunities we can build on together. The discussion will take place in 2 rounds. In the first round, each panelist will have 3 minutes to share the work they have carried out to advance gender equality in their context. In the second round, we will dive deeper into how the different components of the union are ensuring that gender justice is at the very heart of the conservation and what more could be done. It's my pleasure to introduce our distinguished panelists for today's webinar, starting by Mr. Fred Loure, representing the Ujamaa community resource team from Tanzania. The second speaker is Ms. Amelia Arreguín, representing the IUCN Commission on Environmental, Economic, and Social Policy. And then Ms. Saula Dabna, speaking on behalf of the IUCN Regional Office for West Asia. And last and not the least is Ms. Melanie Oliva, joining us from the Ministry of Environment and Natural Resources of Guatemala. We kindly invited you all to keep your cameras on, and starting with Mr. Fred Loure. The floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much, Fatima. Good morning, good afternoon to you all. Happy to be here in this webinar. That's it to say, the 3 minutes might be really sometimes very difficult to cover everything, but I'll try to summarize our journey to the situation we are today in northern Tanzania. As I work with the organization called the Ujamaa Community Resource Team, actually that started since 1998. But really the issue of women components or women program has started in 2011 is when we started this project relating to women. And actually the main work that UCRT is doing in the landscape is to help the indigenous communities on land tenure, especially ensuring the collective rights of the indigenous community, but also ensure the governance and management of land and natural resources, which is also the hearts for and the home for the indigenous community. But furthermore, also looking on the social and economic empowerment for women being one of the other components that UCRT is dealing with. Just to summarize on the issues that lead us to establish the women program in UCRT. Initially, we have been doing the land use plans, the ensuring of these tenure rights, but we keep on really observing that there are two systems in the landscape. We have the traditional system and the government system. And the government system only recognizes 7 women in the leadership. They have a position, but the rest are not. And when you look on the traditional system, completely, they don't recognize women. So you find in the course of dealing with the traditional issues, you find, I'm referring here the Maasai community, for example, you find there's no a woman called a traditional leader. No, you find there are only men who are traditional leaders. When you go to the government system, you find they only allow 7 women to be members of the village council, and the rest 25 are men. So that actually making another tensions in terms of implementation of land protection of the resources. But also when it comes to the issues of land management, we realize that the key players of the land management traditionally are Morans. These are the warriors of the community, Maasai community, for example. These are the men, no women there. But again, when it comes to the issues of participating in decision making, these are the roles of elders, traditional leaders, elders who are referred as like Guanak, who has a role to make a decision on behalf of the entire community. So actually you find women left without being either part of this process of tenure, process of protecting resources, process of supporting the communities. So this is a key bringing that imbalances within the community. So actually, this brings us to see now we need to establish these forums to bring women on board. But what we came on realizing again is that there are forces pushing women also outside the box, that the women themselves do not recognize that. They are saying, no, these are not our roles. These are men's roles. Why are we engaging in the process? No, let men continue these roles and all that. So all that actually made us to start thinking on how we intervene the process.
Yeah.
So UCRT now is doing we are now a member of IPO members, and we have an ongoing project and a Podong initiative and the IUCN project. We introduced what we call Women Rights Leadership Forums. And Women Rights Leadership is a platform where women bring unity among women and solidarity among women, for them also to discuss issues relating to their rights, land and property rights and all that, because traditionally these women do not have a right to own or access the properties. Those are men's roles. And actually men has a say on when it comes to properties and ownership of the land and properties like livestock and all that.
Yeah.
So women do not have a say, but have access to use. So actually that takes us to establish forums. And as we speak today,
May I interrupt you, Fred? I'm so sorry for the interruption, but the time is very concise and limited. We are really apologizing.
Okay, so that's just to
regarding this.
take me
Can you
that.
please recap? Thank you.
Okay, let me summarize that to say the platforms, for now, we have almost the 97 platforms that are supporting women across the landscape, where 125 of them are sub-forums, and the 97 are the forums. But also when it comes to the land rights ownership, we also have like 250 CCROs that are now individual owned by women. This has been supported under the ICI project, but also have the 75 under the Podong project. But also taking it to the leadership components, as I said earlier, women were not a part. Out of the 7 I was speaking earlier, we have now 748 women who are now leaders since the last year, which was the local election year. So those are just some of the issues I could easily say are the successes of the project, but there are testimonies that men also are happy with the situation. I personally believing that to be happening. So thank you very much, and
thank you
I said
so much.
30 minutes is very short. Thank you.
Thank you so much to you, and I'm sure there are many other work and initiatives on the ground. Thank you so much for sharing this powerful work. Now let's move to Ms. Amelia Arreguín, representing the IUCN CEESP Commission. Over to you, Amelia, and please be brief. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fatima. And I will try. I know that this is always a challenge. It's my pleasure to be here representing IUCN on environmental, economic, and social policy work generally that focus on bringing a diverse network of experts working at the intersection of these big dimensions of the around conservation, right? The economic, the environmental, and social matters. But specifically on gender, CEESP has been at the forefront of making sure that conservation recognizes and addresses issues of equity and justice. And I will just highlight some of the things that we have done so far. For example, first of all, to recognize that we have a dedicated gender specialist volunteer expertise from really different areas, coming from ecosystem management, restoration, climate change, pollution, but all of this read from a gender perspective, trying to advance gender provisions into whichever technical guidance or expert inputs provided by the Commission. As we know that is one of the
apologies,
main
Amelia,
roles of the commission,
for the
right?
interruption.
To provide that technique and
Amelia?
expert. Also,
can you hear me? Yes. I think that this sound is breaking. I'm apologizing for this inconvenience. Maybe you can turn off the camera and go ahead with speaking without video. Thank you.
So sorry about that. I was just highlighting the gender specialist group, and I hope you have managed to listen about it and the work and the technical support it is providing with the many experts in a wide range of disciplines, not only from gender, but from ecological, natural science, policy science, economical sciences. Related to that specialist group on gender within the CEESP, we also have the Biodiversity and Family Planning Task Force that is working on removing barriers to rights-based volunteer family planning in relation to conservation. In general, we have also worked in documenting women's leaderships, how women leadership strengthens community-based conservation. And also CEESP has provided consistently technical advice into the policy and international processes that IUCN engages. And the gender expert group within the CEESP has brought that lens, and also in collaboration with Jackie and the Conservation Center, Human Rights and Conservation Center, we have been engaged in the different policy processes as the climate, the CBD, the UNCCD. And in relation to, for example, the motions and the internal IUCN policies, the CEESP has provided an analysis on how gender responsive they are. And sadly, we have found out that most of them are gender blind, but we are hoping and working towards that changing in the future. And lastly, I would just like to highlight the forthcoming CEESP journal, Policy Matters, that is going to be launched during this Congress, that includes different articles and pieces looking into gender dimensions of conservation. And perhaps just the last idea is to mention that for us in CEESP, gender justice is not an add-on or something to check in a box, but we are looking into it as a cross-cutting principle that guide the work that we do as commission. Thank you so much, Fatima.
Thank you so much, Amelia, for sharing about the IUCN CEESP Commission, and we will be really happy to share more details and links in the chat box. Thank you so much. And now let's move to Jordan. We are really pleased to have Ms. Ola Dbebna. Over to you, Ola. I think that you have a presentation, and please keep it in 3 minutes. Apologies for the time is very tight, and we are going to try next time to have more time during the webinar. Thank you so much. Over to you, Ola.
Thank you, Fatima. Hello, everyone. Actually, Fatima, it's really challenging to put everything we have in mind in 3 minutes, because the topic is very important, especially preparing for the IUCN Congress. So good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad to be here with you today. As many of you know, the new IUCN program is being released, and it places the promoting gender equality in conservation at the heart of its work through the second output. And this institutional focus is not just a policy statement, it's a recognition that embedding gender equality and social inclusion systemically will strengthen the effectiveness, impact, and sustainability of conservation programs and projects globally in the years ahead. By generating better knowledge, advancing environmental justice, and many other outputs that my colleague Jackie has mentioned earlier. And now turning to our region in West Asia, women are facing multiple and overlapping challenges: economic, social, and environmental. Women's labor force, for example, the labor force participation in the Middle East and North Africa remains among the lowest in the world, averaging just around 20%. And in countries like Jordan, only 15% of women are active in the formal economy compared to nearly 67% of men. At the same time, women and girls are often the first to feel the impacts of climate change and environmental degradation, water scarcity, land degradation, droughts, and floods that threaten both livelihoods and community resilience. So, knowing this truth, if women are excluded from decision making and resource management, environmental initiatives risk reinforcing existing inequalities, and it will increase burdens on women's unpaid work. So now I have a presentation that I will share. It's not a long one, I promise, just to give an overview what we do at the IUCN ROA, Regional Office for West Asia, how we try to integrate gender in our projects and initiatives. Trying to figure out how to share my screen. Okay. Fatima, I've sent you a request. Maybe it should be.
Yes, done.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. So now can you see my screen? Or
Not
not yet?
it. No.
Okay. How about now?
Yes, but you have only 2 minutes left. So I'm so sorry.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I will share with you some insights from IUCN ROA. Firstly, like to integrate gender in the programs and projects, we need to start from our policies. As many of you know, at IUCN, we have the Gender Equality and Women Empowerment Mainstreaming Gender Responsiveness Policy, and I can share it with you. But to guarantee that gender is being integrated in projects and programs, organizations should have dedicated policies for this. At the operational and program level, we apply practical tools like gender checklists. Monitoring and evaluation frameworks, theory of change models, and gender responsive procurement and contracts. We train program managers and staff, so gender is linked to conservation effectiveness, especially for teams that work on projects that are closely working with communities and local communities. We also partner with women's organizations, cooperatives, and local leaders as implementing partners. And we have some women organizations as members in IUCN ROA. At the level of knowledge and accountability, we generate and analyze sex disaggregated data and case studies, disseminate lessons learned across regions and members, establish community feedback loops that ensure women, youth, and marginalized groups shape outcomes, and they are always part of our activities in a way that aligns with each region's context. Coming back to the IUCN program output 2, as Jackie mentioned, we will work on gender equality through 5 outputs, sub-outputs, I mean, in addition to other sub-outputs across the program. So we're not, this output is dedicated for gender equality, but also other aspects are being embedded throughout the program. Last thing, I'm almost done, Fatima. I will give you just specific examples on our work the past year in West Asia. Like we mapped projects to IUCN's gender policy and donor requirements. We've been working the past year with Global Affairs Canada, CEDA, FCDO. Also, we link our work with the national frameworks, like Jordan's National Strategy for Women and the Iraqi one also. Tools and processes, we developed gender-responsive MEL sheets, and we embedded gender in Rome MET tool. We created a new one, which is JOMET, the Green List Standard, and other tailored tools. In addition to field interventions and policy influence, we work closely with the government in developing the new strategies and action plans to include gender integration. And that's it. I think I'm still on time. I did not exceed my time, right?
Thank you so much,
thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks to you for being on time and for sharing the work of the IUCN ROA. Now let's move to Guatemala. Melanie Oliva, thank you so much for being here, and over to you, Marlene. Thank you so much, Melanie.
Gracias. Hi, everyone. I will speak in my language, Spanish, because I express my ideas better. Ok, para contarles un poco, voy a tratar de cumplir los 3 minutos. Vamos a ver si tengo ese reto. El Ministerio de Ambiente y Recursos Naturales es miembro de la IUCN desde hace muchos años. Y a través de ser parte de la membresía de IUCN en el 2003, empezamos un proceso con apoyo del equipo social y de equidad de género de la IUCN y creamos una unidad de género dentro del Ministerio de Ambiente. Desde entonces tenemos una unidad de género, 2003, estamos en 2025. ¿Qué hemos hecho en ese proceso? Contamos con una política institucional de género. Y esta política, lo importante de esta política es que tiene un sistema de monitoreo, ¿verdad? Y un plan de implementación. Y quiero contarles que desde el 2003 que se aprobó la primera política, ahora estamos con nuestra tercera política de equidad de género. Es una política que ha tenido actualización, una evaluación primero, luego una actualización. Y eso ha ayudado a que en el ministerio se pueda implementar el tema de género. Tenemos un comité que está formado por representantes de cada dependencia del Ministerio de Ambiente y a través de ellos damos cumplimiento a la política, ¿verdad? Eso es un instrumento que nos ha ayudado para tener acciones concretas, para que la transversalización de género no quede tan invisible. Cuando decimos transversalizar género, es tan transversal que no lo vemos, digo yo siempre, si no ponemos acciones concretas. Entonces, a través de este instrumento de la política tenemos acciones concretas, ¿verdad? Que le damos seguimiento y que cada dependencia la va aprobando del ministerio. Hemos incidido también en trabajar en los planes, programas y proyectos del ministerio para incorporar género. Cada proyecto, cada política, cada plan que el Ministerio de Ambiente aprueba, ¿verdad? Debe tener una opinión técnica de la unidad y esto nos ayuda a asegurar de una u otra manera que hayan acciones concretas para incorporar género. Representamos, ¿verdad?, el Ministerio de Ambiente a nivel nacional y también en algunos espacios internacionales para ir incidiendo, ¿verdad? Es importante también ahora con todos los procesos de la NDC, ¿verdad? Del Plan Nacional de Cambio Climático, las comunicaciones nacionales. Estamos haciendo un esfuerzo para incorporar indicadores de género y también de pueblos indígenas. Hemos trabajado procesos en Red Plus también. Y entonces lo que hace la unidad es ser esa ente asesor, ¿verdad? Para asegurarnos que en cada acción que se haga, ¿verdad? Se puede incorporar género. La ventaja de esto es que siendo instituciones de gobierno, muchas de nuestras acciones también se van al plano nacional, ¿verdad? Y podemos incidir para que en estos instrumentos que no solo son del ministerio, sino que son en un plano más amplio desde lo local, lo nacional, ¿verdad? Incidir para que tenga la perspectiva de género. Me quedaría allí para cumplir un poco con el tiempo.
Thank you so much, Marlene, for being on time, and thanks to all of our speakers. Now let's move to the next segment, or the next parts of this webinar. Now I will invite each panelist to respond to specific questions. You will again have about 3 minutes each. But since the time is very limited, we will concise it to 2. I will be starting with Fred. Fred, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. So I was talking to myself. It's muted. Yeah, well,
Yes.
Thank you very much. It's really about the challenge that we undergo in establishing these forums and enforcing all this gender equality. This is to say that the process is not really a one-day night kind of. It's a gradual. It is actually the process that takes place. It's not about the project of 1 or 2 year, something of that kind, for you to get the results that we want as a IUCN. So that process it takes more time. And I was just connecting to the scenario where we have been taking as a pastoralist here in Tanzania. We undertaken the process where we went even ahead of having a Maasai constitution that included the rights of the women in the leadership, because they are not recognized earlier. So that process, it has awareness among women, goes another stage of including now tools for them to continue establish their practice. So that is the one thing. But again, to understand the flexibility of the funding itself, because there are issues that comes up and it's not flexible sometimes to respond to the issues when you want to address traditional leaders, the kind of that coming up in the landscape. So those are kind of things that probably goes to the situation that probably need to get considered in the process. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fred, and thank you so much for being on time. Let's move now to Amelia, and my question is on the IUCN commissions, to how the IUCN commissions ensuring gender equality and equity are embedded in decision-making process and programmatic priorities. Amelia, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Fatima, and hopefully internet will be... I close it. Okay, I'll close it.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now if I turn off the camera?
I think that's...
Yeah, I see some thumbs up.
I don't know
people
if
can hear me.
It's only me or everyone can't hear Amelia.
I see people can hear me.
Perfect.
So yeah, I will be brief also. I have 5 ideas that I was thinking in terms of what the commissions could commit to do in the next years. And not just looking into CEESP, but looking into the 7 IUCN commissions and considering the different roles that we play in bridging the knowledge, the policy, and the action. And I'm glad that in the chat, this idea already came up like organically, because the first idea I would like to put on the table is that all the commissions should commit and be intentional in valuing women's leadership and knowledge, meaning that they should recognize the experts and those that have the technical knowledge, but also to recognize the traditional and the knowledge that comes from the experience from women that are on the territories, and bringing them into the different inputs, technical notes, and so on.
Yeah.
Second idea is about gender responsive technical input, no? Like in, for example, more commissions that are slightly less related to the social aspects do not see themselves as if gender is not talking to them. No, for example, the Commission on Protected Areas or the Commission on Ecosystem Management or Species Survival. No, like all of the commissions have a role to play in embedding gender provisions within their work. Policy influence, like most of the commission members have a role play already. They are already playing a role in their context, no? Like they are coming from institutions, academia, NGOs. They are already in a position of influence and power. So they should also commit themselves into bringing gender into the work they are doing. Financing and resourcing as the fourth idea, and it's for the commissions to advocate for gender responsive financing to conservation, meaning allocating resources directly for women's organization, for gender responsive budgeting, for human rights provision into all financial flows. And last idea, the capacity development, for the commissions to be unique spaces for young women, early career professional, women from different contexts to be welcomed and to be guided, and for their knowledge to be already considered as it is there, no, as not as something that has to be developed, but something that has to be respected and included. Thank you so much, Fatima.
Thank you so much, Amelia, for sharing these insightful recommendations. And now let's move to Ola to share with us how can regional offices around the world and members integrate gender consideration across all projects and initiatives. Over to you, Ola.
Thank you, Fatima. Actually, it's not an easy task to do with all the challenges that we are facing, but I will focus on the highest priorities that can be maybe practical for offices and for programs to integrate gender. At the beginning, we need to focus at the institution to institutionalize gender, to have gender equality in our strategies, policies, safeguards, and accountability systems. This is the first step. Also, to map our priorities and project plans and work plans with the existing national strategies that are related to gender equality or women empowerment. Also, we have to be aware of the environmental and climate change national strategies, because many of them, mostly, they have a specific part for gender, specific outcomes or strategic goals that are related to gender embedded within the environmental strategies. We have to map our priorities or our work plans with those national strategies also. At the second level, we need to integrate gender across project cycles. Project teams should be aware that gender analysis at the design level and to have gender responsive actions in implementation and sex disaggregated data and gender indicators in the monitoring and evaluation. I believe that maintaining and integrating gender at the whole project cycle will save us time and will save us risks and complications that might face us at the middle of the implementing phase, especially when dealing with local communities. We need to have them on table when we plan our project and our interventions in their areas. The third point is to strengthen capacity. Staff should be aware. We have to give them to trainings and to train partners also and communities, building knowledge and confidence to mainstream gender. I see projects as an opportunity for local communities to raise their awareness in relation to gender, GBV, and positive engagement of men also. Yeah. The fourth point, I'm almost done, to engage stakeholders and women organizations and machineries and local organizations that work on women empowerment as stakeholders. And of course, most importantly, to secure resources and fund to be able to implement and achieve our goals and priorities. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ola, for sharing these recommendations. And now let's move to Marilyn. Marilyn.
Como la membresía gubernamental, quiero hablar de 3 acciones concretas. La primera que podemos hacer es promover la transversalización del enfoque de género en todas las políticas ambientales nacionales, asegurando que las estrategias de conservación, gestión de los recursos naturales, adaptación al cambio climático, incorporen las necesidades diferenciadas de mujeres y hombres, jóvenes y también los pueblos indígenas. En segundo lugar, ¿verdad? Podemos fortalecer la generación y el uso de información desagregada por sexo, en el caso de Guatemala, ¿verdad? También por pueblos indígenas es importante. Creo que desde nuestra parte de gobierno tenemos que incidir en esas estrategias de indicadores desagregados. Creo que debemos de apostarle a que tenemos que tener toda esa información, ¿verdad? Y como la última, ¿verdad? También creo que podemos incidir en el diseño, ¿verdad? Y en la aplicación de marcos normativos para que el tema de género pueda estar inmerso, ¿verdad? Quiero poner algunos ejemplos de lo que hemos hecho como parte de la membresía de IUCN, ¿verdad? Con el apoyo y con los miembros de IUCN, ¿verdad? De Guatemala, trabajamos todo el tema de Red Plus, ¿verdad? Para incorporar género y cómo incorporarlo en toda la estrategia de Red Plus, ¿verdad? También trabajamos un plan de acción de género y cambio climático, y los proyectos que son manejados por IUCN en Guatemala tienen un plan de género importante donde vamos metiendo acciones concretas, ¿verdad? Esos son los 3 pasos que como parte de la membresía de gobierno podemos hacer. Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much, Marilee. We heard from different parts from the grassroots organization, from the IUCN regional offices, the governments, and the commissions. Thank you so much for your interventions. We apologize for not having a room for questions, but in the chat box, we already received many questions. You can answer directly in the chat box. Thank you so much for your question. Now I will ask my colleague Shruti to share the next slide before closing the webinar. Yes, I'm sharing with you here the gender calendar. You will be having the link to access to the events and the sessions or the side event that the CBD Women's Caucus organizing, and also the IUCN CEESP, and in partnership with other allies and with other IUCN regional offices. Please, you can scan the QR code here or use the link in the chat box. We will be really happy to receive your contribution and to add your side event that is related to gender justice. And let's participate and contribute in each other side events during the IUCN World Conservation Congress. And also my colleague will be sharing also the other sessions that will be in the IUCN World Conservation Congress, the overall program as well. Now I will move to the last segment, which is the closing remarks, and we are going to hear again from Jackie. We would like to invite you again and back, Jackie Siles, for closing reflections and a call to action. Thank you so much, Jackie.
Thank you, Fatima. I would like to thank Fred, Ola, Amelia, and Marlene because the participation really highlight what it's the union doing. Today, we have seen some examples of the work to advance gender equality that IUCN members like UCRT, commissions, the secretariat are doing. But also what are their ideas, their challenges, and how they see the opportunity to contribute to advance the outputs of the next IUCN Work Programme. I think this webinar and the presentation of the colleagues and the information, all the activities that they are implementing and that have been shared with us help us to realize the catalytic power of the union, of the IUCN, and how all the components can be acting together to resolve and compete and to embrace and to expand the reach of the multilateral cooperation that we can do to accelerate the collective action for nature and people. You already have seen all the different opportunities, all the different events that are going to take place during the World Congress. And I warmly welcome all of you to continue this discussion, these important topics that we have been discussing here, but overall to request for support to promote gender equality to the union, because we know that we have a crisis and funding is fundamental if we want to advance this topic and work throughout the union. So go to the IUCN Congress in Abu Dhabi in October, express your ideas, support the promoter of gender equality, so we can turn the tide for nature and to build a safer and more just world that is sustainable for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jackie, for sharing these powerful words. I would like also to seize this opportunity to thank you all, to thank our distinguished speakers, panelists, and participants for engaging in this important conversation. As we move towards the IUCN World Conservation Congress 2025, let's ensure gender justice remain at the heart of the conservation and decision making. We look forward to seeing many of you at the WCC next month, working together to advance gender transformative conservation. Thank you and goodbye. And we will be following up with you through the emails. We will be sharing the recordings. And for any other questions, we will also be following with you through the emails. Thank you so much to you all.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Jackie, ¿podrían mandarme las preguntas y puedo responder por correo si quieren?